पूरे विश्व को भारत के सामर्थ्य का परिचय कराया है। दुनिया भर से बधाई संदेश आ रहे हैं। लोग अपनी शुभकामनाएं भेज रहे हैं और मुझे पक्का विश्वास है लोग आपको भी बधाई देते होंगे। देते हैं ना? ढेर सारी बधाई आपको भी मिल रही है ना? हर हिंदुस्तानी को मिल रही है। पूरा सोशल मीडिया बधाई संदेशों से भरा हुआ है। जब सफलता इतनी बड़ी हो तो सफलता, उसका उत्साह ये भी लगातार बना रहता है। आपके चेहरे भी बता रहे हैं। दुनिया में कहीं भी रहे, लेकिन आपके दिल में धड़कता है भारत। आपके दिल में धड़कता है, आपके दिल में धड़कता है, आपके दिल में धड़कता है। मैं आज ग्रीस में आपके बीच आकर एक बार फिर सभी को चंद्रयान, उसकी एक भव्य सफलता के लिए बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं। साथियों, हम लोग तो बचपन से सुनते आए हैं, चंद्रमा को तो हमारे यहां चंदा मामा कहा जाता है। क्या कहा जाता है? आपने देखा होगा चंद्रयान को लेकर कुछ लोग तस्वीरें शेयर कर रहे थे कि हमारी धरती मां ने अपने भाई चंद्रमा को राखी के तौर पर चंद्रयान भेजा है। और देखिए चंद्रमा ने कितनी अच्छी तरह उस राखी की मर्यादा रखी, उसका सम्मान किया। राखी का पर्व भी कुछ ही दिनों में आ रहा है। मैं आप सभी को रक्षाबंधन की अग्रिम शुभकामनाएं भी देता हूं। मेरे परिवारजनों, मैं दुनिया के कितने ही देशों में गया हूं, लेकिन ग्रीस आना, एथेंस आना मेरे लिए बहुत खास है। एक तो एथेंस का इतिहास हजारों साल पुराना है। दूसरा, मैं काशी का सांसद हूं, जो दुनिया के सबसे पुराने जीवंत शहरों में से एक है काशी। तीसरा, एक और बात भी है, बहुत कम लोगों को पता होगा, मेरा जहां जन्म हुआ गुजरात में, वो वडनगर, वो भी एथेंस की तरह ही एक जीवंत शहर है। वहां भी हजारों साल पुरानी सभ्यता के अवशेष मिले हैं। इसलिए एथेंस आना मेरे लिए एक अलग ही भावना से भरा हुआ है। और आपने देखा है, ग्रीस की सरकार ने मुझे ग्रीस का सबसे बड़ा नागरिक सम्मान भी दिया है। इस सम्मान के हकदार आप सब लोग हैं। इस सम्मान के हकदार 140 करोड़ भारतीय हैं। इस सम्मान को भी मैं मां भारती की सभी संतानों के चरणों में समर्पित करता हूं। साथियों, आज मैं ग्रीस के लोगों के साथ अपनी संवेदना भी व्यक्त करना चाहता हूं। अभी यहां जब जंगलों में आग लगी तो बहुत बड़ी मुश्किल खड़ी हो गई थी। ग्रीस के कितने ही लोगों की इस आपदा में दुखद मृत्यु तक हो गई। भारत संकट की इस घड़ी में ग्रीस के लोगों के साथ है। साथियों, ग्रीस और भारत के रिश्ते सदियों से हैं। ये रिश्ते सभ्यता के हैं, संस्कृति के हैं। ग्रीक इतिहासकारों ने भारतीय सभ्यता का बहुत गहन वर्णन किया है। ग्रीस और मौर्य साम्राज्य के बीच मित्रतापूर्वक रिश्ते रहे। सम्राट अशोक के भी ग्रीस से बहुत अच्छे संबंध रहे। जब दुनिया के बहुत बड़े हिस्से में डेमोक्रेसी के बारे में चर्चा तक नहीं होती थी, तब हमारे यहां लोकतांत्रिक व्यवस्थाएं थी। एस्ट्रोनॉमी हो, मैथमेटिक्स हो, आर्ट्स हो, व्यापार हो, हम दोनों सभ्यताओं ने एक दूसरे से बहुत कुछ सीखा है और एक दूसरे को बहुत कुछ सिखाया भी है। मेरे परिवारजनों, हर सभ्यता और हर संस्कृति की कुछ न कुछ एक विशेष पहचान होती है। भारतीय सभ्यता की पहचान विश्व को जोड़ने की रही है। इस भावना को हमारे गुरुओं ने सबसे ज्यादा सशक्त किया है। गुरु नानक देव जी का विश्व भ्रमण, जिसको हम उदासियों के रूप में जानते हैं, उनका उद्देश्य क्या था? उनका उद्देश्य यही था कि वो मानवता को जोड़ें, इंसानियत का भला करें। गुरु नानक देव जी ने ग्रीस में भी अनेक स्थानों की यात्रा की थी। नानक नाम चढ़दी कला, तेरे भाणे सर्वदा भला। सबका भला हो, सबका हित हो, यही कामना तब भी थी और आज भी भारत इन्हीं संस्कारों को आगे बढ़ा रहा है। आपने देखा है कि कोरोना काल में कैसे भारत की दवाओं ने सप्लाई चेन को चलाए रखा, रुकावटें नहीं आने दी। मेड इन इंडिया कोरोना वैक्सीन ने दुनिया भर में करोड़ों करोड़ों लोगों का जीवन बचाया। कोरोना के इस काल में हमारे गुरुद्वारों में लंगर लगे, मंदिरों में भंडारे लगे, हमारे सिख नौजवानों ने मानवता की मिसाल पेश की। एक राष्ट्र के रूप में, एक समाज के रूप में ये जो काम भारत करता है, यही हमारे संस्कार है। साथियों, आज दुनिया नए वर्ल्ड ऑर्डर की तरफ बढ़ रही है। भारत के बढ़ते सामर्थ्य के साथ ही विश्व में भारत की भूमिका भी तेजी से बदल रही है। अभी मैं दक्षिण अफ्रीका में ब्रिक्स समिट में हिस्सा लेकर आ रहा हूं। अब से कुछ दिन बाद भारत में G20 का शिखर सम्मेलन होने जा रहा है। G20 का प्रेसिडेंट होने के नाते भारत ने इसकी जो थीम तय की है, उसमें भी विश्व बंधुत्व की यही भावना नजर आती है। ये थीम है वसुधैव कुटुंबकम, वन अर्थ, वन फैमिली, वन फ्यूचर। यानी पूरी दुनिया का फ्यूचर साझा है, जुड़ा हुआ है। इसलिए हमारे फैसले और हमारे सरोकार भी उसी दिशा में है।
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching Brass Tacks. I'm Anusha Soni. The June of 2020 shall be remembered for the bloody confrontation between the Indian and the Chinese forces along the line of actual control in eastern Ladakh. 20 Indian soldiers laid down their lives while guarding their motherland. The Indian forces gave a befitting reply, retaliating in equal measure and inflicting more damage on the other side. Escalating tensions between the two nations led to creation of friction points along LAC, the line of actual control. Many of these confrontations have a history of dispute dating back to the British times. A series of co-commander level talks has led to de-escalation and creation of buffer zones at many friction points. While in some areas like Depsang and Demchok, there is yet to be some consensus that can be emerged for even initial disengagement process to happen. Prime Minister Narendra Modi during the recent BRICS summit raised the issue of tensions along the LAC with the Chinese President Xi Jinping. The Prime Minister reiterated the need for peace and tranquility along the border, and that is a must for normalization of diplomatic ties between the two nations. The Chinese in their statement have refrained from any specific mention of the LAC. They talk about peace and normalization, but they don't talk about the border dispute. The opposition parties in India have once again attacked the Modi government over the LAC standoff. Have we made any kind of significant gains through various rounds of talks so far with the Chinese? Is there any substantial basis to the allegations which are made by the opposition parties? We should indeed have political accountability on issues of national security. But does the political mudslinging help the cause of national security? Our focus on Brass Tacks tonight.
लद्दाख एक स्ट्रेटेजिक जगह है, ये सरासर झूठ है। लद्दाख का हर व्यक्ति इस बात को जानता है कि लद्दाख की जमीन चाइना ने हिंदुस्तान से ली है और प्रधानमंत्री जी सच नहीं बोल रहे।
हम चीनी राष्ट्रपति के पीछे पीछे भाग रहे हैं कि हमें बात कर लो, हमसे बात कर लो, मामला सुलझा लो, और वे सुलझा नहीं रहे हैं। तो नुकसान हमारा है, क्योंकि इस वक्त चीन हमारी जमीन पे बैठा हुआ है। चीन से दो टूक बात करनी चाहिए, वरना G20 के अंदर चीन के आगे रेड कारपेट हमें नहीं बिछाना चाहिए।
आखिर क्यों प्रधानमंत्री चाइनीज प्रेसिडेंट के पीछे भाग रहे हैं बातचीत के लिए? आखिर क्यों देश के प्रधानमंत्री देश को अंधेरे में रख रहे हैं कि लद्दाख बॉर्डर पर क्या हो रहा है? नरेंद्र मोदी की सरकार हमारी बहादुर फौज पर ये प्रेशर डाल रही है कि कोई सोल्यूशन एक्सेप्ट कर लिया जाए।
राहुल गांधी जी को बार बार चीन की बातों पर इतना प्यार क्यों उमड़ आता है? ये राजीव गांधी फाउंडेशन को मिले हुए दान का एहसान है या चीन की कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी के साथ हुए करार का इकरार है कि बार बार वो भारत सरकार से तकरार करने को तैयार है?
Let's take this debate to our guests as well who are joining us on the broadcast. We have Sanju Verma, the national spokesperson of the BJP. We also have Dr. Ajay Kumar, the national spokesperson of the Congress Party. We'll be joined by Akshay Marathe from the Aam Aadmi Party as well. We also have Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, who's a defense expert, joining us on the broadcast. Good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. Let me ask Sanju Verma to open the debate for us. Sanjuji, is the government in a mode of denial when it comes to the issues with LAC? That seems to be the prime argument that the opposition parties have made. Substantiate.
Anusha, first and foremost, nice to be back on your show after quite a bit. Let me come straight to the point without any ifs or buts whatsoever. These are some of the facts that your audience needs to know, and I'll put them out in the public domain, albeit they have been put forth umpteen times. But yet again, for the benefit of Rahul Gandhi, who keeps peddling the same old trope that Cheen हमारे घर के अंदर घुसकर हमारी सेना को चीन ने जबरदस्त तरीके से हमारी सेना की पिटाई की. These were the words used by Rahul Gandhi. I wouldn't use them for our brave hearts, no matter what. We are all aware of the 37,244 square kilometers that Nehru handed over to the Chinese on a golden platter in 1962. But that's besides the point. We are also aware of the fact that the Chinese PLA, the Chinese army, destroyed Zorawar Fort in Demjok in 2008 when the Congress was in power. That's besides the point, Anusha. We are not even going to discuss the fact that 250 kilometers worth of territory in Tiapangnak and Chapji Valley were handed over on a golden platter to the Chinese by the Congress regime, which today suddenly seems to have developed a sense of nationalism, which is so unlike them. We are not even going to discuss the fact that India lost a lot of territory in the Dumchele region between Demjok and Dungati in 2008-9, nor am I going to tell your audience that there were more than 637 incursions when the Congress was in power by the Chinese into Indian territory between 2010 and 2013 alone. What I'm going to tell your audience is simply this. The Union Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, the Union External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, the Union Home Minister Amit Shah, and for that matter, the tallest leader of the country, the first citizen in terms of being the duly elected leader of the government, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, on umpteen occasions, from various platforms, they have said, ना कोई आया है, ना हमारे देश का 1 इंच लिया गया है, nor has there been an incursion, nor will we tolerate if indeed there is any attempt to do that. And tell me one thing, there are umpteen articles in the public domain that in 2013, just 1 year before Narendra Modi assumed the hot seat in Delhi, the National Security Advisory Board Chairman, the ex-Foreign Secretary Shyam Saran is on record saying that 640 kilometers worth of land was encroached by the Chinese and taken over under the Congress. But have you ever seen, let me just take 10 seconds. A.K. Antony was asked about the 640 square kilometers on the floor of the parliament. He feigned ignorance. Shyam Saran is on record saying that indeed this happened. But have you ever seen the BJP say that nahi China ne Bharat ke andar ghus ke 640 kilometer की जमीन जब्त की है? No, because we trusted the then dispensation of the day. Why does the Congress not trust the current dispensation of the day is my limited point.
I have formidable speakers from all sides on the broadcast today. Akshay Marathe from the Aam Aadmi Party is also joining us. So I'm going to equitably divide the time between all the speakers. Dr. Ajay Kumar, coming to you, the government is in a denial mode, but there's a statement that was made by the Raksha Mantri on the floor of the House. There's a statement that has come from the Ministry of External Affairs as well that talks about peace and tranquility that must be maintained along the LAC. The Ministry of External Affairs in the press briefing seemed to give a suggestion and impression that India has highlighted the concerns to the Chinese counterpart. Then how is it fair to say that the government is in a denial mode? Dr. Ajay Kumar.
No, the first question is the long spiel by the BJP spokesperson from a party which never took part in freedom struggle. We divided Pakistan into 2 bits and then they come and give certificates on nationalism. Is a shame on all of them, whoever speaks this kind of language. Whether it's the BJP or the Congress or Aam Aadmi Party, I believe every Indian has got the best interest of India in mind and they're nobody to distribute certificates like some kind of a fraudulent company distributing nationalist certificate. It's a joke. So let's not even discuss. The second issue is they're not insulting the army when they keep making that 30,000 kilometer went there, 40,000 kilometer went there. We are right now discussing the issue is that the challenges, which whether it was the Aksai Chin area and all, is well documented. The various issues are well documented. Whether the Prime Minister makes statements against the Indian army, the Indian nation. See, the Prime Minister, when he was a Chief Minister, went to Bombay during the terrorist attack and started preaching to the nation of what he would have done. So those are. So let's not leave. So if you want me to go on that, I can start off on all the attacks on the government of India with this on the US nuclear deal. They refused to support the government. The nuclear deal. So the question again is, they wanted to make India weak. With the US nuclear deal, they were the communists and the BJP were together. Were they anti-national? So if you go on, so no, let me. So the issue is, what are the facts on the table? The facts on the table is that India has stopped petroling, and the fact of 27 petroleum parks, we have stopped petroling. The fact is that the people of Ladakh are not being able to. The grazers of Ladakh are not able to go into the interior. The fact is that the Superintendent of Police of the Indian Police Service of Leh has said that there are 1,000+ kilometers which have been captured and our people cannot do it. This is from the government, the SP they are saying it. The fourth important point is Pandit Nehru, the original Democrat. We discussed every failure or success of the government on the floor of the parliament. Have you seen any discussions? Believe Mr. Modi. Believe Mr. Jaishankar, believe Mr. Rajnath Singh. And what is the truth? Have they told you that you can't go to 26 petroleum points? What is the truth? That out of 65, 26 petroleum points have not gone? There is so much of literature, whether it is whether different defense experts have written. I read Mr. Kulkarni's article today,
Right.
Which said that we should not question the government when negotiations are going on. But you tell me, where has the government transparently said that they are 60? Has the Chinese built a bridge?
30 seconds, I'm coming.
No, the Chinese? No, one side. Most important, the Chinese have built a bridge, a large bridge across Pangong Tso. Large bridge across Pangong Tso. Have they built it? Yes. Have they built helipads? Yes. 2,000 kilometers. That's what everybody is saying. Now you won't tell the parliament. You won't tell the opposition. Believe Mr. Modi. Believe Mr. Rajnath Singh. As if they are descended from Shankaracharya.
May I?
I want to bring in Sanju Verma into the discussion. Back a quick response from you, Sanju Verma, then I bring in other guests. Please go ahead.
Okay. I did not want to make this personal, and I did not want to make it a flippant debate, because this is a very serious issue, Anusha. But since the gauntlet has been thrown by the Congress and the BJP, let me tell first Ajay Kumar. Mr. Kumar, when you give lectures and bhashan on nationalism to the BJP, remember you're the same person who a couple of months back, when Draupadi Murmu had just about taken over the...
One at a time. Doctor, Dr. Ajay Kumar, I take your objection, sir. I take your objection.
I did not heckle this man.
I'll come back to you.
I did not heckle this
Dr.
man.
Ajay Kumar.
Debate with this kind of liar.
One second. One at a time. Dr. Ajay Kumar, please listen to me, sir. Sir, please listen to me. Sir, please listen to me. Sir, please listen to me.
I will refuse to attend a debate with this kind of liars.
Dr. Ajay Kumar, one second. Can we please mature about this? Dr. Ajay Kumar, please listen to me. There are many things that can be said in a debate which you may not agree to, which you think are false, which in your learned opinion are factually false. If I don't give you the time to refute those allegations, then you'd be justified in your anger. Let her finish her argument. I'll come back to you, sir. Sanju Verma, please go ahead.
Anusha, I don't need to say much. Thank you for giving me the time. But the moment I started talking about Dr. Ajay Kumar, did you notice how rattled he got? Kitni bokhlahat, kitni uttejana aa gayi inme. I did not heckle this gentleman even once. I will now complete what I have to say.
Yes.
Dr. Ajay Kumar said the BJP has not done this and that and is the last party that should give a lecture on nationalism. Fine. Mr. Ajay Kumar, you should be ashamed of yourself. You said Draupadi Murmu, who is the first citizen of India by virtue of being the president of the country, you said Draupadi Murmu represents the evil philosophy of RSS. This line of yours is out in the public domain. Apologize, otherwise just shut up and don't give me a lecture on nationalism.
Sanjuji, now let him respond to this, then we come back to the original debate. Otherwise, the entire debate gets derailed. A quick response from you, sir. Yes.
First of all, lies and lies. The whole ANI
Not
thing
lies.
is
This
No, no, let him finish. Let him finish. Let him finish. Let him finish. Let him finish.
You
Dr.
say
Ajay Kumar.
Draupadi Murmu
Dr.
represents
Ajay Kumar.
the
Dr.
Indian
Ajay
philosophy
Kumar.
of
Please
India.
relax.
One at a time.
You
Dr.
say
Ajay Kumar.
Draupadi Murmu
Sanjuji, let him
represents
finish.
the philosophy of
Sanjuji,
India.
let him finish. The debate will get derailed. Dr. Ajay Kumar, a quick response from you, then we get back to the moot topic. Yes.
The whole unedited ANI thing is available in public record. I have put it up on my Twitter handle. Read it. That she's a decent
Liar.
person. One second.
Liar.
Please keep quiet.
No,
Please,
no,
madam,
no,
why
no,
don't
no,
you?
no, not this
Can't
way,
talk.
not this way. Can I just have Dr. Ajay Kumar? Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. It's on my Twitter handle. It's on the Congress handle. You can see it anyway. That she's a decent person, but she's representing an evil philosophy. Is RSS an evil philosophy? Yes, they are. Is BJP is an evil
All right.
philosophy? Yes, they are. Second, no, don't preach to me nationalism. I got the police medal for gallantry, one of the youngest guys. So don't preach to me on bravery and service to this country. Tell her, please don't even, go on that line. I
Sir-
served in the Indian police service with reasonable distinction, reasonable decency,
Sir,
and I don't want
we respect the
some private
contribution
sector
of-
person giving me gyan on nationalism.
No, sir, we respect the contribution of each individual
Come
on
on,
this panel.
come
You
on.
might be from the Congress or from the BJP, but we're all Indians at the end of the day, and we're discussing something in the larger national interest.
Okay.
I want to go back to the moot question and the moot debate. Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni is also with us on the broadcast. Mr. Sanjay Kulkarni, you have expressed certain views in the public domain when it comes to issues of national security. Do you think that there's a demand from the opposition parties that there should be more transparency, accountability in terms of what is happening at the friction points, what is being discussed in the co-commander level talks? And there is, if you talk about the domestic politics, there's obviously a criticism of it, which the Congress party is talking about. To what extent is it possible to put out these negotiations or details in the public domain in your experience?
Thank you, Anusha. At the very outset, I must say, most people in the public domain are unaware of things that really happen on ground. That's the first thing. Secondly, the talks are going on between India and China because there are two friction points, Depsang and Demchok, which require to be resolved, which have occurred before this incidents which have taken place at 2020 and have been in the process of disengagement. Now, entire thing, first and foremost, is the disengagement. Followed thereafter, the delineation comes, the last part of it, because after the disengagement, you will have what they call it is, the kind of, there will be no, first and foremost, again and again, I would say, is the part of disengagement.
Yes.
But that disengagement itself will take some time. Now, as regards the feeling that we have lost territory, if they're referring to after 2020, I think the patrolling points that are there, the patrolling points are primarily to ensure that the two sides come there and at the point they approach these sides and they fall back.
Yes.
Now at Depsang and Demchok, definitely the Chinese have prevented the patrol to go in there. Not that the area has been lost. The area is under domination, but they're not allowing the patrol, and that is where the talks are going on. That is the first thing.
Okay.
Secondly, the disengagement has taken place at Pengang. So, disengagement has taken place at Gogra. Disengagement has taken place at the Hot Spring. And the things are at Galwan. But yes, disengagement at Demchok and this thing. But to say we have lost territory to China would be incorrect because this is a long drawn process. The delineation of the boundary itself hasn't happened because only after the disengagement takes place that the subsequent actions can come. But if there are no subsequent actions, how the delineation of the boundary?
No, sir.
Now,
sir, politics of the Congress and the BJP aside for a moment, the fact that the government is not using these words as in we have lost some amount of territory to the Chinese, what is the strategic importance of it? Is it just a political position that they have taken, or there is a strategic importance to this narrative that the government has adopted at this point in time?
See, after, as I was saying, the disengagement comes the de-escalation.
Yes.
After the de-escalation comes the delineation. Now, first and foremost is the disengagement which is taking place. It's an LAC. Now, what we have inherited from the British is not what the Chinese are accepting it. So, even the McMahon line of 1914, the Chinese don't accept it.
Absolutely.
Now, what's happening at the Johnson line and the subsequent McCartney line, we find that between the Kunlun Mountains and the Karakoram ranges, there's a gap called where the Aksai Chin exists over there. So there is a lot that has happened since 1950. The Chinese are in occupation of over 37,000 square kilometers of the land. They are creeping in. The salami slicing, they keep doing it. We have to ensure that they don't go any further. But to say every now and then, it will only be jeopardizing the talks that take place, and Chinese would want. Chinese can't be trusted That is what they are wanting, that within the Indian circle and the Indian political scene, this kind of differences crop up, which lead to more difficulty. So it is not a question of having
they're
lost
smart with their
anything.
propaganda, and we know about it. I'll first bring in Dr. Ajay Kumar back into the discussion and then go back to the BJP. Dr. Ajay Kumar, as has been pointed out by one of the experts on the panel, Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, that the demand for complete transparency is not in the best of the strategic interests of the country, and perhaps a certain line and a narrative has been taken by the government which is in the larger national interest. We cannot cede to the narrative that we have lost the territory to a quote-unquote enemy nation which has tried to make those incursions, because we are trying to ensure that those buffer zones are maintained, there is de-escalation, disengagement that can happen. So a complete 100% transparency is not possible. Do you accept that view?
So, with all respect to General Kulkarni, I was following what's written also. The fact is, the differences, political differences come in when in national and strategic issues, when you start not involving the people of the country, the opposition parties. Where are you getting this information? 26 petroleum points are gone. These are coming from reporters and public leaked information. This is not the government statement. The Chinese are building a bridge on the Pangong Lake. Is not a government statement. The helicopters. The problem is, where are we getting the leaders of the nation, the parliament? Even if you have to take confidence the various political parties, would you think this would happen? The problem is when you start thinking that there is something which is you don't communicate, and you're not saying you can make it public. But all the information is coming, whether it is some reports from ex-retired generals, and General Kulkarni will agree that I've seen so many reports of various senior army officials who have different perspectives, and we are getting those reports. Now, how do you know what is the report which is true? So you are saying Mr. Modi is Shankaracharya and we should believe whatever he says.
I'll come to you, Sanjuji. I'll give you equal time.
One second.
Let
me complete.
Finish your point, sir.
Or you take the whole opposition. Take the opposition confidence. And whatever you want to say, everybody stands with the nation. But this question is whoever is giving the feedback, and General Kulkarni I don't know what's his perspective on that. That whether it is Mr. A.K. Anthony, who was an ex-defense minister, is he not competent to listen to the information which the government of India has to give it to an ex-defense minister?
All right. Let me take those points to
and those
the BJP
are not
as well.
available.
No, that's a fair point. Sanjuji, let's keep the history aside for a moment. There is an argument there which is being made that we should have verified information coming from the government of the day, and there needs to be more confidence-building measures, not just outside the country, but in terms of ensuring that the government keeps all the political parties and the political class on the same page. That has not happened.
Anusha, now you notice I did not heckle the Congress spokesperson. I do not want to threaten by saying I will leave the debate. I'm not so immature, but I need my time without being interrupted.
Please go ahead.
I want to make that very clear.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. I'm glad you spoke about verified information. I want to just turn the tables and ask, does Rahul Gandhi have verified information? Does the Defense Minister of India, Rajnath Singh, not have verified information? Does the Prime Minister of the country, Narendra Modi, not have verified information? Should we not believe the Home Minister, Amit Shah? Should we not believe the External Affairs Minister, S. Jaishankar? It is basically Rahul Gandhi's word against everybody else. But, Anusha, I just want to say this to you. And this is there in public domain. On the floor of the Rajya Sabha, when the then Rajya Sabha member, a Congress leader at that, Mahavir Tyagi, asked Jawaharlal Nehru, why did you donate on a golden platter 38,000 square kilometers of Aksai Chin to the Chinese? He said not a blade of grass grows there. We did not even know that it existed. To which Mahavir Tyagi said, I have a bald head. Does that mean I should abandon my head? But forget that. I want to just tell you one thing. Look at Google, look at Wikipedia, look at any public platform. They will all tell you that the Dhola Sardia Bridge, which connects Assam with eastern Ladakh, it started in 2011 under the aegis of the Congress party. But within a year of starting the Dhola Sardia Bridge, they abandoned the construction. The Dhola Sardia Bridge, which is very crucial to the geopolitical security and strategic interests of India in the eastern parts of Ladakh. The Dhola Sardia Bridge was completed by whom? It was completed by Narendra Modi in 2017. And just give me 10 seconds more. I'm sure you're aware, Anusha, you are such a consummate journalist. When did the Darbuk Shayat Daulat Beg Oldie, famously known as the DH-DBA Road, start? It was started by Atal Bihari Vajpayee sometime in 2000-2001. We all know that the Congress-led UPA under Manmohan Singh / Sonia Gandhi came to power in 2004. You will be appalled, as much as I was, to know that the first thing they did was to disband and discontinue the construction of the Daulat Beg Oldie Road, which was completed by the Narendra Modi government 3 years back. I want to ask the Congress, why did you abandon construction of important landmarks which could have improved connectivity in the strategic parts of Arunachal Pradesh and Assam? Don't give a bhak to the BJP.
Uninterrupted, 3 minutes to you, Sanju Verma. I have Akshay Marathe also into the discussion. Akshay, unfortunately, due to connectivity issues, you couldn't join us on time, but we have a very lively debate going on here about the LAC issue and the standoff along the LAC and what the government has done, the answers it must give, and other questions raised by the opposition parties, really substantial. A quick view from you. The moot point that has been raised by the Congress party is that we don't have verified information and there is not enough political confidence building measures which have been undertaken by this government, to which the BJP has argued that they have done their bit. Where does the Aam Aadmi Party stand on this?
Anusha, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me on this debate. It has been a bit of a struggle to connect, but now that I'm on the show, I want to make just a few quick points. Number one, you see, India has really suffered terribly at the hands of the Chinese. We have suffered several casualties. That is on public record. Nobody can deny it. 20 people lost their lives in the Galwan Valley. And just months before that, we had visuals of the Prime Minister of India and the President of China holding hands in Mahabalipuram. So when the people of India see these visuals and then immediately after that, you see that our Jawans have lost their lives, and there are unconfirmed reports that a large parcel of land as big as 2,000 square meters has already been ceded to the Chinese side, then the question becomes, why is the Prime Minister of India, who had the time and the resources to hold hands with the Chinese president, not address this issue even once to the people of India? If there are questions even from one person, isn't it our right to hear from the person we have elected to govern this country to talk about the issue? Instead, we have paper tigers like Sanju Verma, who, these BJP spokespersons who will show their bravado.
I'll give you the time to respond.
If the Prime Minister had even 1 ounce, 1 iota of the bravado that Sanju Verma has, we would have been happy that, okay, at least the Prime Minister has the courage to speak about this issue. But instead, the Prime Minister keeps a very stoic silence. He goes to these summits, has the backdoor meetings with the Chinese side, but the people of India are kept in the dark about it. How are we to accept that as citizens of India, that our Prime Minister has not even spoken one word so far?
All right. I have very limited time on the show, but Sanju Verma, 60 seconds to you. Please go ahead, make your closing comments.
Thank you. It's always good to debate with Akshay Marathe, though we are always on the opposite sides of the spectrum. While he may have paid me a left-handed compliment about my bravado or otherwise, I just want to say one thing. We don't need lessons in how to handle the Chinese from Arvind Kejriwal, who at the height of the COVID second wave in 2020-21, with folded hands, told Amit Shah, mujhse na ho paega. We don't need lessons from Arvind Kejriwal, who just a few months back, when Delhi was flooded and turned into Venice for all the wrong reasons, said, mujhse na ho paega. We don't need lessons in probity and propriety from Arvind Kejriwal, jiske naak ke tale his senior officer, a deputy director in the WCD department, kept raping a minor for 3 years, and Arvind Kejriwal said, mujhse na ho paega, mujhe to kuch pata hi nahi tha. So Akshay Marathe, take your lessons in probity and propriety to Arvind Kejriwal before you give a lecture to the BJP. And the reason for the fact that you are being completely dismissed by the electorate is the fact that you have 1 seat in the Lok Sabha. A royal 1 seat.
I'm very sorry. That's all the time. That's all the time that I have. That's all the time that I have. Thank you. All of you have been formidable speakers here, pointing out to certain issues. Sanju Verma will stay with us on the broadcast for the second debate as well. But the issues along the line of actual control are about our national security. We must have a healthy political debate in this country, and that's what the attempt was. Here's another interesting debate simmering in the country. The movie Kashmir Files has bagged the Nargis Dutt Award for the Best Feature Film on National Integration. This was at the 69th National Film Awards, and this has triggered a massive political slugfest of sorts. You have the likes of Asauddin Owaisi, who have launched a scathing attack on the central government, alleging that a movie spreading hatred against a community is being rewarded by the BJP. Former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister also joined in, mocking the film with a emoticon on Twitter. Now, the Congress party also criticized the central government, claiming that the movie attempts to poison the minds of the people and is not the right representation of what really transpired. Well, Kashmir Files is a movie which was largely about the atrocities that happened against the Kashmiri Pandits during the 90s. There is a youth section of population and intellectuals who have denied this violence that had happened. The movie represented that. Did it represent that proportionately? Or there was disproportionate representation? Who will decide that? History, data, or the perception of certain politicians? We debate the various aspects of this particular movie and the award that it has got, the politics and the reactions that it has always generated.
वो खुद भागे गवर्नर से मिल गए जहाँ शेख सरस्वती ऋषि कश्यप हुए वो कश्मीर हमारा, जहाँ पंचतंत्र लिखा गया वो कश्मीर हमारा।
कश्मीर फाइल्स कभी मेरी फिल्म नहीं है, मैं तो एक मीडियम था। ये अवार्ड मैं हमारी आई एम बुद्धा प्रोडक्शन कंपनी की तरफ से उन सब विक्टिम्स को समर्पित करता हूं जो आतंकवाद के विक्टिम्स हैं, खास तौर पे कश्मीरी हिंदू, और उसके अलावा पूरे विश्व में जहां भी कोई भी भारतीय अगर टेररिज्म का विक्टिम है, ये फिल्म उनकी आवाज है, ये उनका दर्द है।
इंटेग्रेशन वाली कोई बात है नहीं, और इंटेग्रेशन की अगर फिल्म बनेगी उसको कोई अवार्ड नहीं देने वाला है। इस गवर्नमेंट का माइंड सेट है, यहाँ इस वक्त जो थिंकर्स हैं उनका माइंड सेट है कि नेगेटिव चीजों को पॉजिटिव बनाओ।
निश्चित तौर से आप कश्मीर फाइल को कैसे अवार्ड दे सकते हैं जिसने पूरे देश के अंदर न सिर्फ ये कि झूठ फैलाया है, नफरत फैलाने का काम किया है।
A lot of truths and a lot of historical truths in this country have been put under the floor, under the mat for various reasons. Sometimes in the garb of maintaining peace and harmony, and sometimes because they were too bitter. Was this movie about that? Joining us on the broadcast, Sanju Verma of the BJP continues to be with us on the show. We also have Rahul Gandhi, who's a spokesperson of DMK. We are also joined by Kasturi Shankar, who's an actor. Good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. I want to begin this debate by bringing in Mr. Rahul Gandhi into the discussion. From the DMK, ma'am, I want to understand from you, how does this really work going forward? There's a narrative which has been, there about Kashmir Files, especially with respect to the kind of representation it shows of the exodus that happened, the violence that was inflicted against the Kashmiri Pandits. But moving forward, many argue that it's just political discomfort with the reality. And that is why parties like DMK are speaking on this issue in a negative tone and tenor. Can I have Rahul Gandhi on that, please?
So thank you for having me on the show. See, what happened to Kashmiri Pandits is a serious matter of concern. There is no doubt about it. It is nothing but an attempted act of ethnic cleansing and a crime against humanity, which no one could justify. But here, the issue is different. We are actually not talking about the plight of Kashmiri Pandits and the corrective actions taken to restore their positions in Kashmir. The ruling BJP government in the center, till today, haven't come up with any concrete plan for their resettlement or to restore their confidence. But BJP is promoting this type of a third-rated movie to victimize the whole of Muslim community so that they could polarize majority as against a minority. This is what they did in Gujarat, where they polarized Hindus against Muslims. they are doing in Manipur.
Sir, can I make one interjection? Can I make one interjection? We have limited my time, but it's one thing what the government has done for the Kashmiri Pandits. That's a separate debate altogether, and I'm more than open to have that debate. But if a film chooses to highlight the violence that happened against Kashmiri Pandits, why are we so uncomfortable with it? There is violence that happened in different parts of the country in various unfortunate riots. Many movies have been made on it, and we have all celebrated those movies, accepted those movies. Then why are we so uncomfortable if Kashmir Files is talking about the atrocities against Kashmiri Pandits?
No, the issue is entirely different, because India is a land of ethnic, cultural and religious linguistic diversity. India is a land of diversity. Let us understand that. And we believe unity in diversity. And due to its ethnic diversities, unfortunately, India is also used to ethnic conflicts like Gujarat, Manipur and even Kashmiri Pandits. So if we totally harp on these type of sentiments, where majorities are pitted against minorities, that will destroy the communal harmony in the country. And it is only the BJP which banks its vote bank politics on majority and minority issues will get only benefited, and that is their idea.
Kasturi Shankar, do you agree? I mean, art and cinema have always been the tools to highlight uncomfortable realities in this country, whether a political class likes it or it doesn't like it. Why should we be selective about what we wish to express? If there have been movies on Gujarat riots, 1984 anti-Sikh riots, or various other communal tensions that we have had in this country, why shouldn't we have a movie about Kashmiri Pandits? They deserve to be represented in cinema.
You hit the nail on the head. These are inconvenient truths for certain parties in India who have based their entire political lifetime on the basis of subterfuge and buried truths. It is not surprising for a party like DMK, expressed by their leader, Mr. M.K. Stalin, Chief Minister Mr. M.K. Stalin himself today.
Right.
It's not surprising that they are shocked by certain truths being reflected on screen, because it does not fit their agenda, it does not fit their narrative. In fact, it is extremely disadvantageous for them to even confront such truths, because let's not forget that the DMK itself made its political career out of movies that were not even based on fiction. The Kashmir Files, it may be an exaggeration, but it is based on fact. It is based on historical truths. But the DMK's movies were propaganda movies. They used to.
I don't even want to go into the DMK movies or other movies. I'm talking about Kashmir Files. I've watched the movie. I have read a bit about Kashmir history and what happened to the Kashmiri Pandits. And many people who know the history or the facts would argue that it's a fair representation of what really transpired. Sanju Verma ji, I'm coming back to you. Sanju ji, I'm coming back to you. Let me bring in Sanju Verma also into the discussion. Sanju Verma ji,
thank you.
One question which is often asked to the BJP is that what business government has really got when it comes to certain movies? Why does BJP support certain kind of filmmakers and certain kind of movies?
You know, Anusha, I'm absolutely amused, I'm not even agitated at the manner in which the entire leftist Congress cabal, including the DMK, is rattled by the fact that the Kashmir Files has got the Nargis Dutt Award for National Integration. I want to ask you one thing, Anusha. I'm not a great movie, goer or movie watcher.
Yes.
But be that as it may, when Gangs of Wasseypur was given the National Award for a whole host of things, nobody from the BJP raised a stink. When Irfan Khan was given the National Award, nobody raised a stink. When Leela Samson, whose only claim to fame was the fact that she was Priyanka Gandhi's dance teacher, was given the leadership. She was asked to head the Sangeet Natak Academy Awards. Nobody raised a stink. Various other, for instance, I remember Pan Singh Tomar was given the National Award. Nobody raised a stink. When the late, we remember him fondly as the benign villain, Pran. Pran was given the Dada Saheb Phalke Award. Nobody raised a stink. When Teesta Setalvad was given a Padma Shri for fabricating evidence, we are raising a stink now, as we should. My limited point is this, as you very rightly said, did Kashmir genocide happen? Yes. Were more than 3 lakh Kashmiri Pandits displaced? Yes. Were more than 65,000 Kashmiri Pandits, including men and women, mutilated, raped, murdered? Yes. Are we not aware of the fact that Girija Tikku was brutally gang raped and murdered? Are we not aware that Justice Neelkant Ganju was murdered? Are we not aware that Prem Bhatt was murdered in cold blood? Are we not aware that Kashmiri Pandit Tikalal Taplu was murdered in cold blood?
Sanju
Do we
ji,
need certificates from a party like the Congress?
I think there's
allied
one more
DMK?
point.
Give me 10 seconds.
Yeah.
We all remember, Anusha, 10 seconds. Yasin Malik, the head of JKLF, was given a jadoo ki jhappi by Manmohan Singh in his private chambers in 2006. I think that should suffice as to where the Congress
but one of the points that has been raised by the DMK is that yes, the party has spoken about these issues, but you have not done anything enough or substantial for the Kashmiri Pandits. You have only weaponized their issues and problems. That's their argument.
I need to come in for 10 seconds. Anusha, you made a great charge. Can I please finish?
A quick response, then I'll go back to the DMK. A quick response, yes.
I want to ask you, if everything was so easy, why did it take 34 long years, almost 3.5 decades, for any government to even initiate a basic inquiry into the brutal murder of Justice Neelkant Ganju? Who did that? It was the Modi government who revoked Article 370 to pave the way for Kashmiris to return back to their homeland. The Modi government, I remember Rahul Gandhi saying, Article 370 will never be revoked in our lifetime. But look at it. It has been revoked and for good. So don't always keep pointing fingers at the BJP.
Coming back to you, just because the reality is uncomfortable, should it not find its place in cinema? Yeah, go ahead.
Uncomfortable reality. The BJP is known for its double standards. If they are doing like this, why can't they also extend the same courtesy for a movie which will highlight the genocide which has happened in Gujarat? Genocidal rape happened in Gujarat as well. Here, eight
there was no genocide in Gujarat. Read the Supreme Court judgment.
One at a time. I'll come back to you. We have to be. My humble submission is. Pugal Gandhi. My humble submission is that when it comes to very sensitive issue like riots, genocide, we have to be mindful about the words that we are using, and then I leave it to your discretion as to what you want to say. Go ahead, make your point. You're free to make your point. Go ahead.
Same yardstick applies to Gujarat as well. When they say genocide happened in Kashmir, the same yardstick applies to Gujarat as well. Number two,
Gujarat were riots. There was no genocide in Gujarat. Stop lying.
I'll come back to you. Sanju ji. Let him make his point. Pugal Gandhi, please. Go ahead. Let's just be careful about the words that we are using. Pugal Gandhi, please. One at a time. Can I just have the DMK? Then I'll go back to the BJP. Pugal Gandhi, please. Yes.
8 BJP ruled states gave tax concession to this movie. Why not give tax concessions to movies which has taken Gujarat or any other this type of ethnic cleansing activities? So it is only selective in approach. And what steps BJP have taken to ensure that this Kashmiri Pandits will return back to their land? So far nothing. It is being 9 years in power by BJP government. So
I've also watched a movie called Parzania, and as I read about this movie, it was made on the 2002 Gujarat riots, and it got the National Film Award for the Best Director and the Best Actress as well. There are various other international recognitions that this movie had got, and that time all of us were happy that good, a movie came forward, it represented what happened in Gujarat and it got the awards. Why are we so touchy this time?
No. BJP is touchy because
it's the opposition parties that have a problem with Kashmir Files, and that is why I'm asking you this question.
No, because BJP is using Kashmiri Pandits, and similarly BJP is also using the other movie which is called as the Kerala Story to divide the population, to divide the population on religious lines.
So Parzania was about dividing a community on religious lines, was it? There have been various movies. There have been various movies that have been made on Gujarat riots as well. I want to give last 1 minute to Sanju Verma, and I also want to go to Kasturi Shankar as well. Sanju ji, 60 seconds to you. Then I bring in Kasturi Shankar as well.
I just want to say one thing. Who was the Prime Minister of India when you had the Anantnag riots in 1986? It was the DMK's ally, Congress leader Rajiv Gandhi was at the helm of affairs. When the CTO blast happened in 1988, Anusha, who was the Prime Minister? It was Rajiv Gandhi, the ally of DMK. Then when you had squadron leader Ravi Khanna, who was brutally killed in cold blood, who was in power at the center? It was the Congress. The point is, be it the CTO blast, be it the Anantnag riots, be it AM Vatali's killing, be it Naval Chief Ravi Khanna's killing, all these brutal actions happened under the long nose of a thoroughly incompetent Congress dispensation of that time. And my simple point is this: do not conflate issues. Gujarat was a riots case, and the Supreme Court on the 25th of June 2022 said Narendra Modi is given a clean check.
Last
He
60
had no
seconds.
criminal conspiracy.
I'm not even,
with respect to the Gujarat
Sanju ji, 1 second, I'm not even going to entertain that argument for any reason of this straight
said that for the
comparison.
benefit of the
You know, yeah, I mean, this comparison between 2002 versus what happened to the Kashmiri Pandits, we have to talk about the merits of the case, and there was violence that happened against Kashmiri Pandits. Kasturi Shankar, 60 seconds to you. The space of art and cinema should be an arena where everybody has a right to tell the story, and everybody has a right to narrate pieces of history which certain political parties may be uncomfortable with. The reality of Kashmiri Pandits should be spoken, and it should be spoken far more often.
Absolutely. I'm going to try to bring the point back to the movie itself.
Absolutely.
Because this is about the National Award for Integration for Kashmiri Files. And I just want to say very clearly that when Thomas got it for the partition, problems surrounding the partition, when Bombay got it for illustrating a family's travails during the Bombay riot, when so many other movies, Farzania itself got national awards for illustrating the good.
Bombay got a national award in the same category.
You know, he just comes up with questions with whataboutery, but he doesn't realize that.
That's all the time that I have. But Sanju Verma, Kasturi Shankar, and Rahul Gandhi, thank you all for joining us on the broadcast. The field of art and cinema is not the hegemony of certain kind of intellectuals. It cannot be. Every story, whoever likes it or dislikes it, you're free not to watch it, but everybody has a right to tell their story. And if the story is true, it is based on facts, and more importantly, it appeals to the viewers, it must be recognized. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Brass Tacks. Thank you so much for watching.
Presented by
2019, and this is proved by her Facebook post. She resides over there. She's not an ordinary person. She is a Block Development Council chairperson. We will not believe her. What she said was that the Chinese PLA soldiers had entered 6 kilometers into Indian territory, and this was a post that she shared 4 days before the clash happened. And this was a post not from that year, that is not from 2020, but 11 July 2019. She went on to give lots of examples, but I want to understand why is it that 4 days before the Air Force Day last year, on October 4, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Chief Marshal B.R. Chaudhary, what did he say? That our aim is to ensure that there is status quo ante that has to be achieved. And this was in response to the Chinese envoy saying that all is well and everything was okay and there was no problem. However, there is one more point I would like to understand. Why is it that there are talks happening? There are 19 rounds of Corps Commander talks which have already taken place. What is that for? Is it just in air? Are we trying to say that we are just engaging with the Chinese because there is no problem on the LAC? Now, if you look at all the all the things that have been mentioned, there were 3 places that were mentioned as problem areas due to the incident of June 2020. And what are these areas? The Depsang Bulge, the patrolling point over there, 15, and of course, Deb Chowk. So are these being spoken of in air? What happened in Russia the same year? Why were we talking to the Chinese over there when we had the SCO meeting happening over there? The Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, this was all in the public domain. This is nothing to hide. And when people of Ladakh are saying it, Rahul Gandhi has been there for quite a few days now. He's meeting people. Why is it that the government wants to hide this? This is a national security issue, and this should be discussed in a special session of the parliament. Why can't the Prime Minister do that?
Okay, all right. So, Jata, we would have a member of the Bharatiya Janata Party to respond to these claims that you are making. But meanwhile, this entire point that you have raised vis-a-vis the statements that have come by way of senior stakeholders in the Ladakh area, I'd let Colonel Dinny to join us on the broadcast and just offer more perspective. Colonel Dinny, how do you read these very statements, considering Rahul Gandhi, while in Ladakh, is attributing the information that he's received from the locals over there? The Chinese have ceded into the Indian territory, something that has been kept away from the Indians by the Prime Minister himself?
Ma'am, see, we must understand that a purely national security issue has become a purely political issue.
Yes.
So unfortunately, even if I, want to give a perspective, I will be branded as politically inclined towards one side or the other. The fact of the matter is that this is a issue which has not come in 2020 or 2019 or before that. It has been there for a very long time, and the basic problem is that the border is not demarcated. There is no border. There is no border either on the map or on the ground. So there will be problems. So that is the first thing which people, I think, conveniently forget. As far as the transgressions have happened, I think it has been happening throughout. It is not the first time again happening. But what is different this time, and that is what the status quo ante, what we all are talking about, is the quantum of troops which have come from the Chinese first and then followed by us.
Yes.
There is almost 60,000 troops facing each other in the Aksai Chin area. That is the status quo, which is, in a large manner, which has changed. This quantum of troops have never been there. Then there were 7 friction points which were there post April 2020, the clashes which happened in Pangong. So after which there were 7 areas which had to be resolved. 5 areas that has been resolved. But there are 2 areas in Demchok and Depsang which has still not been resolved. And the reason why is that we, as the Indians, and as I understand from the from local sources or from troops on ground, is that they are, and I'm saying this because one has done that on ground.
Yes.
That we don't give away, okay, please come inside and now we'll go back. That is not the way Indian army functions. Otherwise, there is no point in the Indian army being there. The fact that 3 years on we've continued the talks after talks means that we are wanting to get to a negotiation with a result in our favor, in a manner in which is biased towards our claims.
No,
not
but
to bias
Colonel
towards
Diri, I'm
Chinese.
really sorry to interrupt you. I just want to bring in the point that member of the Congress party was making here, that why is the conversation only being initiated by India? At least that is what the claim has been made. It's...
Hello, Namaskar. This is First Post and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. We've been discussing a possibility for weeks now. Will Prime Minister Modi and President Xi meet on the sidelines of the BRICS summit to discuss the India-China border? Turns out they did earlier this week. But India and China have different versions of that meeting. Also, they can't seem to agree on who asked for it, who asked for the meeting, and what is the takeaway. Will the border tension be dialed down? We'll tell you what we've gathered. Meanwhile,